And just like that, we're back. This is the Hoof GP, and we've been looking at this cow. She had an incredibly curly back right foot, and she was in serious pain the first time we saw her. After that first initial trim, she was looking a lot better though. That was 8 weeks ago, and we've got her back in the crush to see how she is now. This is the Hoof GP. Make sure you've subscribed so you get updates on cows just like this.
And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
So this is our little princess. And if we take a bit of a look back at the original video, you can see how she was walking with that hugely overgrown back right foot. She was walking miles better after that initial trim. Obviously, it wouldn't be hard to be walking much better than she was.
So it's been 5 short weeks since we first saw this curly-toed cow. In the first video, I told you that we couldn't fix this cow, and there is no way that we possibly can fix it. That's because toe necrosis is irreversible. The bone inside her foot is decaying and dying and rotting away. I also told you that we could make her much more comfortable, and that was our true goal. If you remember rightly, we removed a huge amount of hoof horn from the end of that outside back right foot. We stopped because we couldn't go any further. To go any further would be a vet's jurisdiction, and a vet is something I am not. So we removed what we could, and we did it as carefully as we possibly can. Problems like this are painful, and it's my job to make sure that I'm as careful as possible and don't put the cow into any more pain than she already is. We applied a block, and we let her go to see how she was walking. This was the result.
She's all ready and waiting to go into the crush to see how her foot is progressing now. And she's getting antsy, so let's get her in. Oh, it still looks sore. But thanks to BoviBond's magic, this block is still really well stuck on. So we're going to clean up the foot, give it a quick trim, and decide whether or not to put another block on top of that one. Here we go.
As Craig is cleaning off this hoof, I get the all too familiar whiff of digital dermatitis. Crouch down and realise that this open lesion is now infected with dermatitis.
So this TP block is still doing its thing. It is still raising this sore digit off the ground. But if we raise it up even more, that'll help that sore lesion on the end of her foot to dry out and give her even more pain relief, because I believe this outer claw is still just touching the ground. And that's because I can see the wear here. As you can see, it is not healed up.
In the original video, you saw me remove that hugely overgrown toe. That toe was completely hollow. By its very nature, toe necrosis means that the hoof horn itself is going to end up with a hole all the way through it, because the toe, or the pedal bone, is dead inside it, and the corium surrounding that part of the pedal bone also deteriorates away, so the hoof horn can't be formed. Because the hoof horn can't be formed, a hole forms instead. So, despite it not looking that way to begin with, that curly toe was actually open to the elements. All we did in the initial trim was remove the overburdening and overgrown hoof horn to reveal this lesion. In my endeavours to remove as much of the raggedy and sharp hoof horn from around the lesion as possible, I've gone slightly too far. This is a really tough situation to judge. It's very hard for me to understand and know how far behind that hoof horn is live flesh, and the second I do it, I stop and move on with the trim. Part of the reason this hasn't healed up is because this foot is constantly in slurry. It's constantly moist and in a dirty environment. So adding another block will add extra height and hopefully lift that sore affected claw off the ground and allow the tissue to dry out and hopefully start to heal.
So you can see a substantial portion of her foot has rotted away, and that's because of the digital dermatitis infection that she's got right in the end of the toe. It's eating into the bone and the tissue and everything within the hoof capsule and causing a serious mess in the process. And that's why we're going to wrap it with salicylic acid, because it will help to kill the dermatitis. and hopefully, once the dermatitis is dead, the horn can begin to regrow. This is never going to look like a good foot again, and should probably always be uncomfortable, but we can get it back to a manageable state. We can heal the end of her toe, and yes, it won't look fantastic, but it won't be an open lesion anymore, and that is my aim for this cow. Anyway, we'll just magically wrap this.
I am a professional cattle hoof trimmer. It's my job to prevent cows from going lame by routinely trimming them. But if we don't get to them in time and the systems fall down, they can and do go lame. Then it's my job to functionally trim them in order to make them as comfortable as possible. But I have limitations. My job criteria has limitations, and these are those limitations. In situations like this, the best course of action is to call a vet to therapeutically trim this cow.